Hello my BMX friends, this is Bill Prince here. I'm going to be going over the local South Florida papers that we had back in the 70s and 80s, and we're going to go through each issue and just talk about things that were basically in the past that were fun and exciting. So as we see on this paper, it's called the County Wheels, and it was from October 1978, Volume 2, Number 12. It featured the NPSA Grand Nationals. NPSA was the National Pedal Sports Association. And as you can see on the cover, this rider is Sith Bushari, and he was the #1 15-up expert in the state of Florida. And you have a rider behind him, which is Ronnie Seeger. And I believe this was taken at Ives Dairy, but I'm not sure. So let's open it. This paper was like half motorcycle and half BMX. So the guy that printed it, his name was Jack Gassman, and he had a couple riders such as Joanne Shader and Bobby 5x5 Day that did a bunch of articles for them. Here we have DC Hyatt Cycle Park, which is over near the dump in Pompano, and they had a BMX track in the middle of the motorcycle flat track, which we raced on Friday nights, and I think it was under the MBL sanction, which was very fun. The track didn't last too long, and then at the end of the races during Friday night, they had like a flat track that we raced around, and it was the little kids lined up, and then it went by age going backwards. Like Greg Escher would be in the back, and the little kids would be in the front, and we raced around that track like probably 8 to 10 times to see who won. Of course, it was always the bigger riders that won. So as you can see, they have a bunch of results in here for the motorcycle, and they also had go-kart racing back in the day. And they have ads in here from Discount Honda Suzuki. If I can get this paper open. I don't want to skip a page. Okay. And you can see there's more of the motorcycle races in here. It talks about different riders throughout the sport that was here in Florida. I know nothing about the motorcycle racing. And it's still motorcycle racing here, and this guy here, if you beat John, you won $50, but you had to race him on a moped. He claimed he had the fastest moped in South Florida, which he won a lot of races. I didn't dare to race that guy. He was really fast on that. I think he had a Pook moped. And then you get into all of these bike dealers that we had. We had, Wheeler Dealer, which was one of the better shops in South Florida. He carried all the name brands as like Two Wheeler, Stroker, Moto Mags, Webco frames. He had it all. If you wanted something, you had to go to his shop. And then you had Hank's Bike Shop, which Hank used to walk around the track and sell the magazine, the BMX Action, BMX Plus, and this is where I got a lot of my magazines from this guy Hank. And I think they were like $1.50 back then. But Hank was always off the chain, and that's why he ran his ads upside down to get attention. And then we had Michael Phelps. He earned 30 trophies back in the day, and he was a very powerful rider. He always rode a Swin Sting. And then over here we have a bunch more bicycle shops. And then we have a spotlight rider, which his name was Kenny Green. Kenny Green rode for me for a good amount of years. I helped him out. He was unfortunate that his family couldn't afford a nice bicycle and stuff, so I always let him use my bike and my helmet and things like that. And he won a lot of races back in the day. And he went off and became I think it was a Fort Lauderdale police officer. And now he does home remodeling like me. Seems like everybody does home remodeling. It's easy and it's good money. And then you have a Florida rider visits California, this is John Hutland. I believe that is BMX 84. Him and a bunch of the riders, I think it was his sister Bonnie, went out to California. And then you have Barry's Bicycle Shop, which was he was in the northern part of Fort Lauderdale, and he had a lot of good things too. He knew a lot about BMX. And then you had the Tony the Peddler track, which was down in Hialeah, Palm Springs, which was a good track. And then you have Bicycle Center. Bicycle Center, this guy here, I believe his name was No, that's not Ray Knapp, I'm sorry. Bicycle Center was owned by Ray Knapp, which he put on the Orange Bowl race, which was here. And 52,000 football fans cheered on BMXers at the Orange Bowl. That was a good race. We had to set everything up in 8 minutes, and then we had to be cleared the field within 12 minutes. And we ran like 6 different motos. And then we have the Mr. Ferris. He donated a lot of money to build the Pompano Boys Club BMX track, which we're very thankful for. We raced there many of Friday nights there. And it's unfortunate that track had to close down, and part of the track is still there. You can still see the starting hill, you can still see some of the jumps and the turns, which is pretty neat, and that's been over almost 40 years ago. And then you have Ray Welch from Ray's Cyclery, which he sponsored my WP team also. And then you also have a lot of the results from August 12, 1978. You got Joe Suma at 15 Expert, you got Alex Boguski 15 Junior, you got Steve Eddy in 14 Expert. And then you come down to the rest of these tracks. You know, Homestead we raced at Ives Dairy. They called it a Supercross track back then, which was funny. Another Homestead, and you got North Branch YMCA. There was 2 tracks up in Palm Beach. One was called Brown Branch, the other one was called, I believe, South Brown or North Branch, I believe. And then you had the Place for Wheels, which is Bill Green's bicycle shop. He was one of the guys that ran the Kendall BMX track and got that up and running. And he also had a great BMX team, which had a lot of national #1 riders on there. Actually, Bill Green, he was a national #1 rider in I believe it was a 35 and up cruiser class, which he dominated for a couple years there. And then you have the Grand National 1978 MPSA Spectacular BMX event. This was at Pompano. As you see, Steve Eddy, you see Lenny Baticki, which Lenny Baticki went on to be a NASCAR announcer, a drag car announcer. You have Lee Gill, and I'm not sure these other riders here, but Steve Eddy, he was a very fast kid. He actually lived across the street from me. Me and him always rode our bikes up to the track. Then here again you have Kenny Green, which you can see he has I think it's not even a pie plate. I think it's just a piece of cardboard that he had to race with. That's the way they did it back then. And he was on my JMC bike, and he's riding the Dan's Bike Shop team. And then you got the Grand National Qualified division. They had a qualified division, they have a non-qualified. If you didn't race enough races during the year, you couldn't race the qualified and get a number plate. As we turn the page, you see the grand opening of Cole's Bicycle Shop. I worked there, and this gentleman, Jerry Cole, he helped me run my WP team for a while. He donated some money for the jerseys and everything. Thankful to him to get my WP team started. And this was his bike shop. It was actually on 21st Street in, I think it was probably Lauderhill, and then he moved down to Fort Lauderdale, which was off of 441 and Davie Boulevard. And then you have the BMX schedule for 1978 for MPSA. And we raced basically Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays here. And then you have Wheeler Dealer. I told you he ran a couple factory teams. He had 5 factory teams in there. And these riders, which is Kim DeCua and Jamie DeCua, they rose for COIC back in the day. And these are their national number plates from 1977. And then Bike Barn, I believe, had like 2 teams, or 2 bike shops, and they were up in West Palm, and they rode the Raleigh Rampart frames. And then here you have Mike Ellis, and I believe he rode for R&R Scorcher, which was a cool frame. And then you have Adam Kramzer, which also rode for the, I think he rode for Torker. Actually, no, he rode for 2 wheelers, and Jeff rode for Factory Torker, as it says there. And then you just have a couple bike shops that supported the sport. You know, I think every bike shop in South Florida had a BMX team. You know, if you weren't into BMX, you weren't making no money. And I think that concludes this, except for the last page here. And it looks like just more bike shops. And here's Bobby, 5x5 Day. He did a lot of the photographs back in the day, and you would buy them at his table for, I think, $1.50 each photograph, which was pretty cool. That's where I got a lot of my photos from. And then you have the Team JMC from South Florida. I believe you have Paul Zacher, you have David Perkle, you have Donald Schaefer, and you have Big Joe Suma. Big Joe Suma, I believe he runs a bunch of restaurants throughout the southeast. And then here's another rider from the Pompano track. I believe this is still from the Grand Nationals. Here's some more riders, which I believe it's a Todd Dawson out front, supporting his Massey forks, and it looks like a CYC frame with his 1977 national plate. And then you got Cricket Whitaker. I believe she was from Sarasota, and she raced all around the state of Florida. And then here up comes the September 1978 MPSA schedule. On September 6th, 1978, we raced at Sarasota, we raced at Hialeah, and we raced at BMX 84. And then on Friday, September 7th, we raced in Dunedin. So we raced all around the state. The track probably had 15 to 20 tracks around the state, which was good. You can go anywhere and race a BMX race within 50 miles of your house. So it looks like that concludes this magazine. And there's the John Odone. If you beat him, you get $50. Get your mopeds out. Let's go. Let's try to beat this guy. But he won a lot of races. You must win first overall in the open moped race. Prize money awarded by MBI Inc. Safari Mopeds. Well, thank you for watching this video. Please, if you could, subscribe and share and give me a thumbs up. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these, and I know this is kind of sketchy in the beginning, but I will get better as I get better equipment. And hope you enjoy it, and have a good night. Thank you.